All right, so after seeing all this amazing stuff, we went back. I believe we basically said our goodbyes. We went into the USO facility there at this non-disclosed location. Saw they actually had two fairly large facilities. We also saw the Air Force's Community Activity Center, which was super nice. I complained a lot about the facilities that the Air Force guys have compared to what the guys in the Army had at Buren, but that's pretty normal for those that don't know. Air Force guys basically get paid extra just to be on an Army base. So it was interesting to see all the facilities they had, but the USO had two large non-permanent locations. I mean, that's where they're going to stay, but they're really just beefed up tents, but really, really large. Everything again from Wi-Fi areas, computer stations, phone stations, game stations, gaming rooms, united for reading rooms, quiet areas, reading areas, study areas. A lot of folks getting their degrees online as well. A lot of soldiers and airmen working on that. Great facilities there. It was really nice to meet everybody associated with that. After we did that, we hopped onto into our vehicles, I guess, and then made a trek across the UAE for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to another non-disclosed location in the UAE. This one happens to be a non-disclosed naval location, which again, probably like the least, worst kept secret in the world, but again, out of respect and what's been asked of us, we're not going to say where it was located. It's just hard to imagine a aircraft carrier pulling up somewhere and people not knowing where it's pulling up to. But so we went onto this naval facility, non-disclosed as well, still in the United Arab Emirates, and this was also really unique. So here you could see again how the USO. Oh, I did want to say one thing. The access that we've been given in that Air Force base in particular, as well as everywhere else, I mean, sleeping on Camp Buren, unlimited access, if you will, to some of the most classified things in the entire world. What was so evident, right? So the USO doesn't have the ability to make that happen. The commanders of these bases voluntarily wanted to make this happen because they're so bought into the mission of the USO. I cannot tell you how often it was a thank you situation because we want to thank you for your service, sir. No, thank you, BBMC, for your donations to the USO and all the work the USO does. You have no idea what it means to us and our soldiers. Like, without this, we would be in a much worse situation from a readiness standpoint across the board. And to the point that they're literally opening the doors to us to everything, to some of the most classified and secret things that the military has. And that's really the point, right? That was the point I wanted to make earlier is it just speaks volumes about the work that the USO is doing across the world for our military, for active duty military, and back at home, and with all the 50 charters at our airports and on their bases. Just amazing, amazing work. So that was really the proof positive there. So here at the naval installation, same thing. The USO's mission had changed drastically from any other location that we saw. The USO was the only game in town across the board. So where typically you'd see like the AFES, like the Armed Forces Exchange Services and base exchanges, none of that was there. So the USO had stepped up and made all of that take place. Vendors where they could, when these sailors come in and they have their liberty, they can come off the boat and they can have places where they can get some good food, have some fun. It's several facilities, several different buildings with different purposes. Just a really, really big operation, which was managed by a guy, Penn Walker, and Sarah Lottie. Actually, Sarah managed operations across all of Southwest Asia, along with retired Brigadier General Bruce Berta, who is probably one of the coolest guys I've ever met in my entire life, and was so humble that he didn't want anybody to know he was even a general until we started researching on why this guy was so cool. And then we found out the whole story. But those two run the entire area. But Penn Walker, great guy, 28 years in the Army. I don't know how he does it sitting around a bunch of Navy guys all the time, just kidding. But he does, and he does it with a lot of passion. So we get in, we see all the USO facilities, and then, just because, People love us, I guess, and love the USO mission. We were able to go on to the USS Ponce, and the USS Ponce, we were able to meet with. We saw all the enlisted mess. We went there to eat first. Saw the enlisted mess, saw their kitchens, and then we actually met with the captain and the ship's. I actually don't feel so bad about this because their version of Command Sergeant Major. I'm forgetting what they call it, but the ship's main the highest ranking enlisted individual on who runs the entire personnel for the ship. Got to meet those guys, went up into the officers' mess, had lunch with the captain of the ship in his officers' mess with all the subordinate officers there. There was one young captain, again, I can't mention his name, or I'm sorry, lieutenant in the Navy, is 2 bars, right? That's a lieutenant's captain in the Army. Brilliant guy. It was really nice to meet him, and that takes a lot for me to say because both of those guys were Naval Academy guys, but they were both brilliant people. Wonderful meal, couldn't have been more. Their hospitality was off the charts. The captain took us to his actual quarters, let us see his offices and his sleeping quarters. Then, just because, we got to go up and go to the bridge, where we toured the bridge and got to basically see all the equipment they use for navigation and steering, and got explanation as far as how the ship worked, how it and its capabilities as far as speed, what it could carry, and then we got to go out and start to see the weapon systems that it had to protect it. And this is not an offensive ship, right? But and you had all the normal stuff, 50 cal, certain types of counter flare / missile stuff. You had M60 or M249, I guess or not M249, M240 is what the newer version is, double stacked of those around the perimeter of the boat. But this monstrous thing up on the top of it, it's called a LAWS, which is a laser weapon. Yes, the future is here, a laser weapon. And this thing, first of all, the scope on it by itself is valuable it's beyond valuable. You could see the rings of Saturn with the scope, and that is not an exaggeration. You could read the name in small print off the side of a boat 12 miles away with this scope. And that by itself, which the captain said he found extremely valuable because obviously he could see the feed that this thing's bringing in. But then behind that, and I don't want to mess up the all the kilojoules or whatever, but an extremely powerful laser that have been proven to be effective in defensive positions, meaning a drone would be sent to look at this ship, and they would be able to point a laser at it and destroy the aircraft in the air. Now, it would have to sustain contact with that aircraft for about 10 seconds, but after 10 seconds, that aircraft would be burned and disintegrated. Flesh obviously wouldn't take even a second. Pretty amazing stuff. The stat that I found particularly interesting is he could shoot the moon if he wanted to and burn an image onto the moon. If he wanted to put a happy face on the moon, he could use his laser and burn a happy face onto the moon. So because this weapon is so successful and groundbreaking, they've done, of course, what they should do is they discontinued it. No, but they have in fact discontinued that specific LAWS. And I don't know exactly what the acronym stands for, but LAWS I believe is LAWS is I believe the acronym, and I'm sure the else stands for laser. But they're going to make 4 that are twice as powerful that will be deployed on other Navy ships in the near future, and then they're going to make some undisclosed number at this point that is 4 times as powerful. And so imagine, if it took 10 seconds to burn an airplane out of the air, twice as powerful would take 5 seconds, and 4 times would probably be 1 second. So if you could get a scope and a guidance system or a tracking system that could put the laser on target of a large aircraft, you could eliminate that aircraft in 1 second, or maybe a Mach 8 missile, or maybe a ship, or maybe, actually you could just let your mind go for forever on that one, what the capabilities of a weapon that strong that could shoot the moon is. So, but that's reality, and we got to hear all about it from the individual in the Navy who is most trained and most knowledgeable about that weapon system. So amazing access again, and again, this all goes back. Well, I'll tell you. So then we go and we hit the flight deck, the helipad, if you will, which is large enough to hold 2 Ospreys. And the Ospreys, if you go on our Facebook post, you'll see actually some photos. Those are the Marine aircraft that can both be helicopters, rotating wing vehicles, or fixed wing vehicles, right? So it can move from a helicopter, turn its wings, and become a plane, right? And so really interesting aircraft. The Marines love it. It's perfect for their mission, but it's large enough. This helipad was large enough to land 2 of those on there simultaneously. So, and they said they have helicopters coming in from every branch of the military, as well as foreign helicopters that come in on a regular basis, several in any given week. So after that entire, presentation and getting that entire tour, we, as you would expect, the captain of this ship, as well as the command sergeant major, which I know I'm messing up the title there for the Navy guys, but decided to come down and present us with the Navy hats for their ships, as well as coins. They coined us. And again, this just really goes back to, all of this is amazing to see, and it's amazing to understand the capabilities of our military, and it's amazing to see all the work that goes into maintaining these machines, to operating these machines, everything from the mechanic to the pilot. I missed 5 steps in there. Everything from the person who feeds every single troop, who makes sure that their billets are all done, who makes sure that their uniforms are right, to the person who does the mechanics and maintains the vehicles, to the people that fly the vehicles, and the people who command everything as well on top of that. None of this works without every single link in that chain, and the USO understands that, and the USO is there to give that comfort and that connection to every single link of that chain, and the command structure across the military understands that the USO's mission is so vital to them that they give us the access like we've been talking about, and they take the time to come down and coin us for coming to visit and just to see what is going on. Really, really incredible, more than I ever would have imagined from an access perspective. So we leave that non-disclosed Navy location, and we move into a more, one of the things that the USO does, because the Navy rolls in and out of this non-disclosed location, is they line up opportunity for these soldiers to get, when they have liberty, to go do things that are fun. And I think I started to talk about this earlier, but they give tours and experiences, right? And they have contracts with vendors out there that they're trusted and vetted by our security forces, so that they know that they're working with the best of the best, and that our sailors will be safe. Well, the most requested, the most purchased, the most highly reviewed experience was the desert safari, and so the USO guys felt like it was important for us to have that experience. And so we went out into the middle of the desert, away from the non-disclosed location. I just to keep it safe, I'm not going to say where, and we literally skied, if you will, or surfed our cars through the dunes of the desert. Had opportunities to get on ATVs, to ride camels, to have a old-fashioned traditional meal, to see kind of how camps were set up in the past when they had the kind of the Bedouin lifestyle. They had the shisha, which is the hookah type of smoking stuff. I didn't actually do that, but I think it's charcoal or tobacco flavored stuff. And then the music, and they even had dancing, all a big demonstration of what the traditional lifestyle was maybe 100 years ago, or 70, 80 years ago for the United Arab Emirates. Really, yes, it was touristy, but it was a really, really neat experience. Falcons, falcon hunting was huge, and you really understand that when you see the desert, because you're not sneaking up on anything in the desert. I mean, you can just see as far as you want. These dunes are pretty impressive. That's a little crazy. But it was just a really, really neat experience. And you understand why the sailors like that so much. So we were able to have that experience. Exhausted at this point, and just talking about it is quite frankly a little exhausting. That's just 2 days, right? Or is that, yeah, that's 2 days that we just discussed on this video blog. And so we were able to finally check back into society. We had an opportunity then the next day, if you will, to congregate as an overall group, talk about our experiences, and cutting a couple things out there that leads us to where we are right now. Sorry to have to bring all this video blogging into one chunk. Hopefully it gets cut up and edited for a more consumable time length. Hint, hint to my marketing department. But I guess we might have wanted to plan better that, when you're out in the middle of the desert and you're doing in certain, non-disclosed locations, access to be able to transmit information or video or pictures becomes more limited. And so here we are today with this opportunity to talk about it. So I'm going to, we'll probably hop back on one more time and pick up any loose edges that we might have left out or any learnings. But for right now, we're going to bring this video blog to an end. It's almost midnight here, I think, and where we're at, and it's getting a little late. But I personally thank you for taking the time. If you stuck through this entire video, I thank you for doing that. And I just want to say, if I have portrayed this even remotely to 1/5 of the way it should have been portrayed, if I have told this story even remotely so that you can visualize it, you should understand that the work that the USO does is important. And you should, if there's a way that you can help them, you can go on to USO.org to see if you can participate through funds. Maybe there's some volunteering you can do. The USO runs on volunteers, right? There's only like 600 employees, USO employees worldwide, and tens of thousands of volunteers make this organization run. So if that might be of interest to you, I highly recommend that you take a look at that. You do not need to be in the military to volunteer with the USO. And then finally, we at BBMC are here because we are large corporate donors, but really that donors, that money is driven and directed by our customers. And so if you want to find out how you can help by working with BBMC, just doing business with BBMC on your home purchase or your refinance mortgage, we've created the Patriots Charity Initiative. We are going to donate $150 to one of 3 charities now, the USO, the Headstrong Project, and the Mission Continues. All 3 are amazing organizations, but obviously we're here representing and learning about the work that happens with the USO. So if you do business with us, you'd have the opportunity to also donate those funds, that $150 to the USO if that was your choice. And I don't pick favorites in any way, shape, or form, but I would say across any of the 3, it would be well used. But if you listen to this video, you know exactly how well it could be used with the USO. So thank you for taking the time to listen. I appreciate it, and have a wonderful, well, if you're in the US, you're 9 hours behind me, so have a wonderful afternoon. But if you're anywhere near me, good night. Thank you.